AMD 7900 series GPUs are better than I thought they were. NVIDIA's GPUs are less safe than I thought they were. And AMD CPUs massively discounted. Let's get into the hot news, everybody. I'm your Brett host. We're going to be going over the hottest tech news I can find on the internet while you enjoy your breakfast. And one of the things I want to talk about before we get started is over in our Discord server, we were talking about how we've just switched from Halloween to Christmas when it comes to celebrating here in the US, and Thanksgiving does not get the respect that it deserves. So I'm going to embark on a mission, which I might forget about, to be thankful for something here on Hot News every single day. So I'm going to start off with something that's pretty prominent in my life, especially after we've done the Cannonball for the Cure. I'm very thankful that we live in a time where technology can be utilized to actually cure genetic disorders, and we're looking at a future where my son's diagnosis at birth doesn't mean he has to live like that for the rest of his life. So you guys, let me know what you're thankful for down below in the comments, and I'm going to say what I'm thankful for from AMD, and that's the 7900 series. It's just after interviews are coming out, we're getting more details of AMD's GPU that's supposed to be flooding the streets. It looks so much better. So a lot of this is coming from an interviews that took place with PC World and Gordon Ung. One of the big things is the frequency potential of the RX 7900 series. What we're hearing is that the 7900 XTX, according to AMD, officially only goes up to 2.5, and the 7900 XT only goes up to 2.4 gigahertz, but that it should have headroom to go up to 3 gigahertz, which, in case you're keeping track at home, that's like a 20% increase. Pretty phenomenal if there is that overclocking headroom right there, which would mean that these GPUs are actually going to punch even further above their weight class, which we're going to talk about how it compares to the RTX 4090 in a second. However, there are some conflicting reports that drivers are not quite yet ready for these GPUs. Cortex reporting that AIB partners are only seeing a 3% clock speed increase when it comes to the preliminary drivers that are out. However, these are not the official drivers. But this does seem to give a little bit more credence to the idea that AMD delayed the release of these cards from December 5th until December 13th in order to allow some driver maturity to happen in that 1 week to make sure that they're actually going to have good clock speeds and good overclocking headroom. And there's some details we're going to talk about in a second that they might also need some driver support for. So one of the things we're actually finding out is that even the AIB partner cards that have been announced don't actually have any official clock speeds attached to them. Asus is the only one, which we'll show off in a bit, but the clock speeds are TBD. So this is very clearly something that AMD is keeping either tightly under wraps or isn't fully developed yet and will come to maturity again in the next couple of weeks. But one of the things that actually did get revealed in all of this is that AMD's GPUs only have 6,144 cores, despite everybody reporting that it was 12,288, and that's because RDNA 3 is a dual issue design, which means that it can execute 2 FP32 arithmetic commands simultaneously, which means that each compute unit can do 128 FP32 calculations instead of 64 on the previous, which again, because that's a whole new way of the GPU actually working, could be something that needs to happen in driver support. So this giving a little bit more detail why we're not getting these GPUs immediately. AMD really went crazy on the design here. These things look like they could be powerhouses, and so they could have really good overclocking headroom. They're a real new way of developing GPUs with the chiplet design. They have a new FP32 dual issue design, and it's going to be a whole complicated thing. But also what's not complicated is what the competition's looking like, because AMD confirming in an interview again with PC World, which you can check out at the link in the video description, and that is the 7900 XTX is not a 4090 competitor. It's an RTX 4080 16 gig competitor, and they said that's why there is no direct comparison, because the 4080 16 gig is not out yet. So at $1,000, it's competing with NVIDIA's $1,200 card, which gives even further credence to the idea that's why they killed off the RTX 4080 12 gig, because AMD was gunning for them directly. But AMD also talking about the FSR 3 thing that I discussed in Friday's episode of Hot News. The FSR 3 was said to only come out on PC, and therefore there was some speculation that it might be only exclusive to the new RDNA 3 hardware. AMD saying that's not the case. They do believe it should work on RDNA 2 and RDNA 1. but saying that we really do want to work on more than just RDNA 3, which sounds to me like it is designed to work on exclusively the new hardware, and they're going to have to backwards compatibility it somehow, and it's not exactly ready to go just yet, hence why it's not coming out right now, and it's only coming out sometime next year. But a lot of good details coming out from AMD, as well as some reports coming out from Gamers Nexus that the new GPUs from AMD are going to have a new sensor that's going to detect ambient temperature that's actually going on in the chassis, so that it can figure out whether or not it needs to spin up the fans in case there's a sensor that's overheating somewhere, which was an issue that took place with the GTX 10 series GPUs from EVGA back in the day. 0 RPM fans means that certain power delivery stuff or other things could overheat, and having an extra sensor could help to potentially alleviate some of those issues. And Asus issuing the first AIB Partner 7900 GPU. You can see it right here. It's a tough GPU. It doesn't look as thunky as the RTX 4090 tough that we actually gave away as part of the Cannonball for the Cure, but does have a lot of the similar design language. And some of the language that AMD used when it came to the performance benchmarks of the XTX was that it's up to 1.5 or 1.7 times faster than the 6950 XT. So some people actually took those numbers in RTX 4090 review and showed off that the XTX, based on AMD's numbers, again, not third-party benchmarks, that the 7900 XTX should get within 10 to 20% of the RTX 4090 in a lot of games, or even in some games like Metro Exodus at 4K ray tracing high. Again, based on AMD's speculative numbers, it should beat the RTX 4090. So even though AMD is saying that this is a 4080 competitor, it actually might be able to punch above its weight class according to some of the numbers that AMD has given. Again, wait for reviews. There's some discussion going on when it comes to driver maturity and AMD actually being able to deliver on that front. So even though there's a lot of excitement in the potential of the 7000 series in RDNA 3, AMD has fumbled the bag really hard before. They've screwed this up before. Radeon 7, RX Vega, those GPUs were supposed to punch above their weight class and only did it in mining and not in gaming. So hoping that there's a different tune here, hoping that there's a different story, but it does look like AMD could be a powerhouse this generation, and I'm here for it. And you should be here for our sponsor. But friends, today's video is sponsored by Keeps. Now, this is something that I constantly am thinking about after we do every single charity stream, and that is 2 out of 3 guys will experience some sort of hair loss by the time they're 35. And I'm always wondering, am I gonna grow it back after we cut it off for our charity streams? But Keeps is here for people like me because they offer clinically proven research-backed treatment to stop hair loss and improve hair growth. And Keeps treatment plans are recommended by a licensed medical provider and delivered straight to your door at about half the cost of a traditional pharmacy. And the best way to prevent hair loss is to do something about it before it starts. And Keeps has a network of expert medical advisors, prescribers, and care specialists to support you in making your hair goals a reality. And each treatment plan comes with a full year of unlimited messaging so you can connect with your medical provider about anything, anytime. So whether you're looking to prevent hair loss, stimulate hair growth, or just take better care of your hair, Keeps has you covered. Because in addition to the clinically proven treatments, Keeps has award-winning all-natural thickening shampoo and conditioner system. And Keeps physicians will help you select the right products and treatments for your specific conditions and goals. And you can easily subscribe to Keeps and get refill reminders so you never run low on the products that you need to take care of your hair. And hair loss stops with Keeps. To get 50% off of your first order, go to keeps.com/UFD or click the link in the video description. That's KEEPS.com/UFD. Take care of your hair, prevent hair loss before it even starts. Big thanks to Keeps for sponsoring today's video. And while the hair on my head's a little bit of a worry, it looks like NVIDIA has more worries when it comes to the RTX 4090 connector melting, because previously the only reports that we were getting were the adapter that actually were included with the RTX 4090 cards. None of the actual ones attached to a power supply were melting at any point. Well, now there's new reports that came out over the weekend over on Reddit where people who have ATX 3.0 power supplies, specifically MSI versions of those power supplies, are actually starting to see some melting on their GPU connector, as you can see right here at the top right there. However, the report that was coming out from the person who had this was that this wasn't bent in any weird way. way. This wasn't something that actually should have caused an issue, but there was still melting that took place as well. And then further in those comments, there was somebody else who says they have an MSI 1300 watt ATX 3.0 power supply, seeing some melting going on with their power connector on the RTX 4090. So it's not just the adapters, it also appears to be the actual power cables. However, it's not yet revealed whether or not MSI used crimping or soldering for those. There needs to be more investigation happening there. But the story of the RTX 4090 melting continues to get worse, and I do think that we're probably quite on our way to a recall of those GPUs. I don't know, but if you recall, we still do Cryptostonks around here. Bitcoin down a little bit, down 2.17%, crashing in the last hour to be at 28.65. Ethereum also having a similar movement, down 4% to be at 15.65, and Dogecoin suffering even more, down 7% to be at 11.4 cents. And Reece, how much are the tech deals down? What are we saving today, bud?
Yo, welcome back to UFD Deals. We're bringing the hottest tech deals out on the internet. It's that time of year again with Black Friday right around the corner. The tech deals are going to roll in fast and furious over the next coming weeks. But don't worry, we'll have you covered and up to date with all the best deals, starting with a bombshell from Newegg with their price protected Black Friday deals. I'm gonna roll through these rapid fire because there's so many good deals to get through. Starting off with the Gigabyte Z690 Aorus Ultra, their LGA 1700 socket motherboard that comes bundled with 32 gigs of Gigabyte Aorus DDR5 5200 megahertz RAM. This combo kit is currently going for only $297.98, which is $265 off the combo. And secondly, we have the Super Flower LEDX V Gold Pro, a 1000 watt 80 plus gold power supply going for only $149.99 with the extra promo code for $100 off the total. And thirdly, we have the ID Cooling ZoomFlow 360X Snow, an ARGB AIO CPU liquid cooler going for only $69.99, which is $45 off. And last but not least, we have the Lian Li O11D distro plate, designed in partnership with EK Waterblocks, going for only $154.99, which is also $45 off. And don't forget, you can find these deals and more linked in the video description. I'm gonna hand you off back to Brett for the rest of your hot news. Cheers.
Thank you, Reece, for the good tech deals. And thank you, Apple, for deciding to change everything. Instead of saying, hey Siri, set an alarm for 3 a.m., now all you need to say is, Siri, set an alarm for 3 a.m. This is something that Apple has been working on to get rid of the hey portion and just make it so that you can say Siri. This is still different than saying something like, okay, Google, set an alarm for 3 a.m. Or this is one of the reasons why Apple might be pursuing this, is because with Amazon, all you have to say is, Alexa, set an alarm for 3 a.m. So it's creating this thing where Apple only wants to have to go by one name. And Siri kinda is a little easier because Alexa's like a real person's name, or the pronunciation of Alex if you have like an accent. Alex, kind of something like that. I don't know. That was a bad joke. I'm so sorry. But Linus tweeting out that he lives in Surrey, British Columbia, and Siri could potentially be mistaken. But hey Siri, set an alarm to watch hot news at 9 a.m. Eastern tomorrow. And Alexa, set an alarm to buy a Ryzen 7 5800X3D at $329. Oh wait, that's too bad. You can't actually do that. AMD coming out with a ton of sales. These Ryzen 5000 series CPUs are getting way cheaper if you go over to the official AMD store. I don't know if Reece included this in UFD deals, but there's a pre-Black Friday sale going on right now where it's not just CPUs that are discounted, but also GPUs. 6950 XT is going for $849. Not a great buy considering what AMD just announced with the 7900 XT and XTX, but if you need a GPU right this very second, that's cheaper than it has been. The 6900 XT going for $680, the 6750 XT going for $450, and then there's some discounts on the 5000 series, 5950X going for $550, 5900X going for $350, 5800X going for $250. I saw it at my local Best Buy for that price as well. And then you had the 5800X 3D going for $329, which is an absolute steal, but it's out of stock, as you can see there. However, there are some discounts that are taking place for the 7000 series CPUs, but only over in China right now, discounted up to 27%. In some cases, it does look like AMD is incentivized to move a lot of this product. Intel, not really a company that does a whole lot of sales when it comes to their CPUs. AMD switching that to discounting these things, making it a little bit cheaper. Let me know what is your price point that a 7600X has to be at in order for you to consider an upgrade, especially considering the B650 situation is going to be quite expensive for you. What does the CPU have to cost? What could AMD bring it down to get you to switch within the next month? Let me know that down below in the comments, and I'm going to let you know that I'm done with this episode of Hot News. I'll see you back here tomorrow for more of the hottest tech news out on the internet, my friends. Chips. Cheerios. I don't know.